What's up, everybody? It's January 20th. It's DFS Dudes, and it's another edition of Deep Dive. We're going to fight through this, hopefully with no sneezes or sniffles. We got a terrible sinus infection we've been battling for the last 3 days. But we're going to battle through it. Excuse me. There's the first one. And get through this slate. Anthony Davis is making his return today. And I'm not sure if there's going to be a minutes limit here. I haven't seen anything. But I think Anthony Davis is in a pretty good spot against Boston that doesn't have very many bigs. And I find myself trying to make sure I can get him in my lineups. Other news, Okafor is ruled out. Derek Favors has been ruled out. Drew Holiday's on track to play and make his return. Redick is on track to play and make his return. Jimmy Butler is out, and so is Justice Winslow. So there's a tremendous amount of value that's opened up in Miami with him being out. Butler. Rudy Gay's out today. Just bench minutes. And then there's a trade that went down that sent our boy Trevor Ariza to Portland for Kent Bazemore. So there's some value with McCollum being out, plus the trade. There's a little bit of value on both sides. And then Sacramento is an absolute mess right now as far as who's going to play, who's a game time decision, etc. They've got game time decision designations next to a lot of people. So the best way to follow this by the minute is our injury report. DJ does a great job keeping that up to date. That's the NBA injury report. And as far as, where the big impact stuff is, the first game, Sacramento, Miami, that's going to be where there's a ton of potential value. It does look like Marvin Bagley is going to play. He's 5,100. He was forced to exit Saturday's loss early with discomfort in his foot against Utah, playing 30 minutes. So, he's at the 30-minute mark. He's 5,100. You have to be careful with it because of the foot discomfort that he's got going on, but Rashawn Holmes is out still. And like I said, they've traded away some players. Belitza's dealing with a minor ankle sprain. He's played at least 33 minutes in each of his last 5 games. And he had that monster game against Orlando just a few games ago. So there's some good potential value here. And I think that Bam is probably in really the best spot. They just don't have bigs. Bagley's a power forward. He's not a center. Harry Giles could start at the center position. I know Dwayne Dedmon is there. But outside of the Phoenix game where they were missing a lot of people, he hasn't played any minutes. And prior to that, remember, he had requested to be traded. So it's not like he's in the best graces. And I'm sure he's probably even more irritated now that they traded Ariza away and he actually asked to be traded like a month ago. And they ignored it. So, you've got Dedmon possibly, but Giles has been playing minutes. And he got minutes when, Bagley and Holmes were out. The minutes have really declined. So he's not safe. I would anticipate that Belitza plays and Bagley, him and Bagley both start. Harrison Barnes will start. Buddy Hield will start. Bogdanovich is back, and at Bogdanovich at 4,600, he's a really good value on this slate that could go really low owned and under the radar for a couple of reasons. Donovan Mitchell at 6,500 still. Drew Holiday is 7,500. D'Angelo Russell in a good spot at 7,600. Wiggins is 6,100. Duncan Robinson is 3,900. Redick is 4,400. There's a lot of really fair Tyler Hero, 4,400. A lot of people are going to look at the Sacramento game, see that Jimmy Butler is out, see that Justice Winslow is out, and they're going to look to the value in Miami. Not to mention, We heard early today that Denver is not going to play Jamal Murray. So Murray is out. Gary Harris is out. Paul Millsap is out. There's a lot of value there as well. I think Will Barton is still the best play in that spot. So let's get into slate. Let's get into what's going on. First game on the slate, Sacramento at Miami. The over-under in this one, 219. And there's just a ton of value here. Tyler Hero, 4,400. Duncan Robinson, 3,900. Kendrick Nunn, 5,100. I think Nunn is pretty much the easiest one to pick, the streamline play for Jimmy Butler being out. But, I mean, Bam seems to be in a pretty good spot here. And I would also look at Goran Dragic at 4,600. I think Goran Dragic in a really good spot. No Butler, no Winslow. They've got a pretty short bench. I would love to know that Dion Waiters was going to play today because the guy could just fill it up. And he's listed as a small forward, and he'd be such a great contrarian play at small forward if he knew he was going to get some minutes. But Dion Waiters, I mean, I don't know what the hell Miami has got going on. I don't know what's going on with Dion Waiters. But, man, if you only knew that he was going to be in the rotation and he was going to get some minutes. He's yet to play this season. So, we'll have to see. But, the obvious spots are Nunn, Hero, and Robinson. I think Dragic and Bam are really good tournament plays. Really good tournament plays. On the flip side of it, you've got to love De'Aaron Fox. Don't love the price tag. Marvin Bagley, he's played 30 minutes in each of the last two games. You have to like that. Buddy Hield's price is extremely cheap at $5,500. Probably on par with a 6X. When you look at what his average fantasy points are, he's at 31.46. And he's 5,500, so he's right at the 6X mark, which makes him a really good price. And then Bogdanovic, I've got a funny feeling about the kid today. I just think he's a really good tournament play that people are not going to look at. I think you can get him really low owned. He played 22 minutes, had 19.8 fantasy points in his first game back. And if he plays 27 minutes tonight, 28 minutes tonight, he can crush 4.6. And it's a thin team. It's not the same defensive unit without Jimmy Butler on it or Justice Winslow. So those are really the plays in that one to look at. Oklahoma City's at Houston, and I really think people are going to look to Russell Westbrook here again. My problem with this is just a clash in styles. I'm okay fading the whole thing. I am. I'm okay just with a big pass because, like I mentioned the first time they played, not only is it a clash in styles, it's really difficult for players to try to feed one guy. It takes you out of what you normally do. I think Houston overall will play a different game. I think that there's no pressure on it. It's not in Oklahoma City. And I think you may see Houston just play a regular type game here. So, Harden and Westbrook are going to play on any night. I just think it's a clash of styles. It's more of a grind down pace. Houston's favored by 7.5. The over and under is 230. If you're going to get exposure to Rocket players, then you're going to need to get exposure to, Galegas Alexander and Chris Paul and Gallinari. Gallinari is my favorite play of Oklahoma City players. And then I'd say it's Noel, and then Galegas Alexander, and then Chris Paul. But if you're going to get exposure to the Houston side of it, my theory is, based off game flow and how I think Houston will play in the second match here with no pressure on this, I think that you could possibly look at rolling out. You have to look at rolling out the players on both sides. Cleveland and the Knicks. The over-under in this one is 222. RJ Barrett is out. I would definitely look at Reggie Bullock. I would definitely look at Damian Dotson as a GPP dart. Julius Randle will get a bump in usage, so will Elfrid Payton. Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson are in play as well as Colin Sexton. Those are the plays on this one. And I think that in tournaments in your player pool, you want to get exposure to this. The Knicks, without Barrett, how much of a bump does anybody really get here? I just think it goes. I think it goes to usage with Payton, and I think Bullock will get a couple more shots. I don't really like Randall's price tag. I'm really looking to get the exposure to LeBron or Anthony Davis. And Colin Sexton continues to play very well at 5,800. New Orleans at Memphis. Jrue Holiday's on track to play. We know Favors has been ruled out. Redick is on track to play. It opens up Jackson Hayes. 4,100, it opens up Jackson Hayes. We've seen this spot. And with a real guard coming back, it opens up Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram's just steep, but Memphis doesn't play a lot of defense. These games against Memphis have been very high scoring, hence the 240 over-under. You'll need exposure to both sides of this in your player pool for tournaments. I like Morant. I like Valanciunas a little bit, but I really like Dylan Brooks in this spot. On the flip side of it, I think you're fine to get exposure to Ingram. I think you're fine to get exposure to Lonzo Ball. I think you're fine to get exposure to Jackson Hayes. Orlando at Charlotte. I don't really like a lot of this game. 206 is the over-under. If I was going to play anybody in this spot, I would play Vucevic. I'd probably follow that up on the other side with a little bit of Devontae Graham. And I'd move on. I just don't have a lot of interest in this game with such a low over-under. Chicago at Milwaukee, I kind of feel the same way. 222.5 is the over-under in this one. You can look at Levine. Cornette's going to still start. 4,200. I just don't know that Cornette at 4,200 is a better play than guys like Nerlens Noel or Jeremy Grant. And is there enough in this game for Giannis to get the 70 fantasy points that you need? And we've talked over and over again about the minutes, etc., etc., etc. I'm not going to pay up for Giannis on this slate. If he breaks a slate, he breaks a slate. But I'm not paying up here. The Lakers are at Boston. A healthy Boston for this one. And when it's a healthy Boston, the value of an Enes Kanter, the value of a Marcus Smart, the value of a Daniel Tice, I'm not sure that it's there. I would focus my spend on Kemba Walker at 6,900, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Gordon Hayward. On the flip side of this, it's Anthony Davis for me. If he's coming back and he's starting, it's Anthony Davis for me. Is there enough minutes for Davis to reach value? That's going to be the question. Last year when he was playing 25 minutes, he was still scoring 45 fantasy points. 50 fantasy points. He's playing 17 minutes, regular rotation for the first half and not playing the second half and putting up 40 fantasy points. But I like LeBron. I like Anthony Davis. Boston guys are pretty fair price, which kind of takes me off of them. I may look at Jaylen Brown, but that would kind of be it. Denver, Minnesota. I think it's okay to go back to Towns. I think it's okay to use Towns here at 10-4. He's played 28 and 27 minutes. I would look for him to play 30 minutes tonight in this one. So I think it's okay to go there. And then there's all kinds of value on the other side of this, right? Michael Porter will be the popular guy. His price is up to 5,300. Jeremy Grant, 4,000. Monte Morris, 4,000. Will Barton, 6,600. Jokic is the guy to stay away from. Jokic could go off in this spot, though. I think Towns is soft, and there's a lot of usage to be made up. Monte Morris is a tough play. Malik Beasley's price is up to $4,500. He played solid minutes, and then they've fallen off in the last one. And don't just look away from Mason Plumlee. Plumlee gets minutes, and he can put a double-double up in regular rotational minutes. Not a good rebounding team in Minnesota. Denver's pretty tough. Minnesota gives up a lot of points. But there's the value there. I think Covington and Culver and Zhang, their prices are way too expensive for what they're going to bring to the table. I'd focus on looking at Shabazz Napier and Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins price $6,100 in this spot, pretty cheap. San Antonio is at Phoenix. 229.5 is the over-under in this one. I'm okay with Rubio. I'm okay with Dario Saric. I think he's a really good price at $4,000. Have to see what happens with Oubre. We might not know before lock. And I just really don't want to get exposure here to San Antonio. Just don't. It's very unpredictable. DeMar DeRozan, the only guy I may look at. I look at Aldridge a little bit as well, but it's just their prices are so fair, and I don't know if there's enough minutes for them to do what they need to do. You need 50 out of DeRozan tonight. It's doable, but it's a tournament-only play. Indiana at Utah. Rudy Gobert in a good spot. Steep price tag, but it's a good spot. Indiana's terrible against bigs. I'll say it over and over and over again. Terrible. Outside of that, I don't have a lot of interest in this game either. Just really don't. Golden State's at Portland. I like D'Angelo Russell. I like Draymond Green. I like Damian Lee. Love Damian Lillard. Love Whiteside. Love Carmelo. Anthony Simmons is projected to start. I've liked him all season at $3,700. I think Mario Hezonja at $3,500 is a good play. McCollum is out. Ariza recently required. He is out. Labisserie is out. Zach Collins is out. The newly acquired Swanigan is out. Rodney Hood out. I mean, they don't have a lot of guys. So they've got 7 guys, I think, that are going to be available today. Possibly 8. So there's good value in this game because short rotation for Portland means a lot of minutes. And because of it's a short rotation, you talk about guys who get tired playing big minutes. Golden State could keep this game within 2 or 3, 4 possessions, and these guys are going to play the whole game. So, Nasir Little is a guy we've looked at before. Really don't mind a Portland stack. Where do I rank everybody today? Let's talk about point guard. Lillard is 1. Nunn is 2. Simmons 3. Ball 4. Morant 5. Westbrook 6. Rubio 7. Shooting guard. Mitchell, Russell, Wiggins, Lee, Brooks, Robinson. And then I've just got a bunch of guys below that I think are okay. Buddy Hield, Dennis Schroeder, Harden, Booker. I think they're all okay. Devontae Graham. Small forward. Gallinari 1, Ingram 2, Barton 3. Derrick Jones Jr. is 4. Carmelo is 5. Jaylen Brown is 6. LeBron is 7. Power forward. We got Bjelica 1, Love 2, Draymond 3, Anthony Davis is 4, and Bam is 5. My value play there is Sarge, 4,000. Jackson Hayes at center is my number 1 guy. I really like Vucevic. I think he's in a decent spot. Really like Whiteside, Mitchell Robinson. Tristan Thompson's price is all the way down to 5,700 against the Knicks. I like that. And I also like Mason Plumlee as a value play at 3,900. That's where I'm at on the slate. Make sure you get your stuff in. It locks really early today. I'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Deep Dive. Until then, be cool, keep your cash in. Peace out.
Gotta make that money, man. Gotta get on the grind. Pop the clip in my 9 and bitch, if it's the pick a chalk at fall in the night time. Gotta get mine. Ain't taking the shirts of the loss inside of the phone. Call up my nigga, send at home. Polishing the back 10 chrome. Got a lick we can hit, so bring your shit. Cause once again, it's on to the zone with a flip of bird. My wig to the curb, so I'm swerving, roll out. To pick up the 666 thug and pop out the